almost expects us to have a romance, even though there's an age difference and all that garbage, which really bugs me. It's not that big a difference. The audience is smarter than the industry gives them credit for being, I think. If you raise the bar, they're going to come to it. Well, I think a lot of fans would be surprised to know how much fun we have, especially because the show can be quite dark. I mean, at one point, I think I took out some guy's kidney without his approval. I'll tell you, when one tear dropped onto her collar in real time. This is kind of TV film history. People have regrets. I wish I could change some things, but on the other hand, if I did, I might not be sitting here with you.
Isn't that sweet?
See what I said?
Welcome to the One Chicago Podcast. I'm Brian Luce, and today I'm honored to be talking to an actor, a writer, a producer, a director, a singer, an audio booker, if that's what it's called. From the theater to television to film, from comedy to tragedy, this gentleman has accomplished every aspect of the entertainment industry. He is kind, he is funny, he is brilliant, he is incredibly talented, and let's not forget, he's fit and strikingly handsome. For over 40 years, he has awed us, amused us, filled us with pride, sorrow, and happiness. He is the one and only Steven Weber.
And I'm drunk. You left that out.
And he's out, and he's drunk.
Drunk!
And for us lucky ones in the One Chicago family, he's a no BS trauma doc who runs the ED like a battlefield. There's no sugarcoating with this man. He calls it like it is, even when no one wants him to hear it. And without further ado, Dr. Dean Archer of Chicago Med. Welcome, my friend. How are you?
I'm good. I've got the first of my seasonal kind of colds that I'm getting over, but that's Chicago.
Okay, let's start on the top. You grew up in a very creative family. How did it influence you getting into acting?
Creative family. Well, just to illustrate more about what that was, my mom had been a nightclub singer in the 50s in New York City, you know, in the heyday, and had actually appeared on, you know, Arthur Godfrey's Talent Scouts and Chance of a Lifetime. And these were things like The Voice. These were things like, you know, the talent shows that have become so popular today. So she was a singer, and then my father was an agent and manager of comedians and singers in the Borscht Belt and in Las Vegas, Atlantic City, New York City. So that was the atmosphere that I grew up in, but it wasn't necessarily what you would describe as a creative environment. It was a very blue-collar environment, you know. It was
Wow.
My father was very kind of linear. He's a tough, I was saying before, he was a Korean War veteran, so it wasn't like the house was full of mirth and creativity and everybody was painting and we were bohemian. No, it was very, like I say, blue collar. My father would, you know, have beers at dinner and martinis and all that stuff. And my mother, it was sort of cool in a way, in that dark masculine way that you embody so beautifully. And, but I just more or less found myself acting in school productions and went to the high school performing arts. And mostly it influenced me because I guess I just wanted to express myself. I wanted people to notice me and like me. So that was the kind of genesis of that. But having a creative household was a kind of that's an exaggerated description.
Do you remember where you were when you got your call to do the role for Med?
I mean, I was probably in Los Angeles and worrying whether I would get another job or not, which is something that every actor has, even actors who have amazing careers. And I'm friends with Don Cheadle. I remember even after he was doing the Marvel stuff and all his award-winning performances in films, he was worried about the next job. I thought, oh God, this never ends. So I was in LA and I got the call. I didn't even have to audition for it, which is good most of the time. Sometimes it's not. To be on a 4 or 5 episode arc of Chicago Med.
That's how it started.
And the character of Dean Archer was a guy who was a naval surgeon who'd been to Afghanistan, had been wounded, had PTSD, and in fact, at the end of this arc, was going to do some self-harm. He was not good up here. He was suffering and had untreated trauma. And at the end of this guy's story, he was not going to make it. So I was kind of excited about that character.
Yeah.
That it was dark and interesting, and I was going to apply some things that I'd known. I was going to do some research and do what I thought was going to be, just a good, nice little gig. But halfway through, I think they decided that this character had more depth and appeal and possibilities beyond where they were going to take him.
Yeah.
And so after that, they decided not to end the character, and they brought me back the next season for a number of shows, and then from there it sort of got longer and
Yeah.
longer.
You've been on 5 years.
This is my 5th season.
Yeah, 5th season.
Yeah.
And you started out, you were a little bit of a cranky guy with no heart, a little bit edgy.
I mean, it wasn't even so much cranky. I mean, bordered on sociopath. He was doing a couple of things that now, basically, in the canon of the show, we've sort of conveniently forgot about. I mean, at one point, I think I took out some guy's kidney without his approval. I sedated him, pulled it out. It was really dark, and that's why he was going to kind of end.
There is an episode, and don't take this the wrong way, but the scene that I liked the most, you didn't talk.
Yeah.
There was, and it was amazing what you did with your eyes. And Oliver Platt too was sitting right next to you,
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
a young boy.
That's right.
It was so good.
Talking about how he had a heart transplant.
Yes,
And how he felt that the person who he got it transplanted from didn't want him to have the heart.
a young girl.
Oof. Very moving writing. And it was about us listening.
Dude, I cried.
I tell you, man. Look, in many ways, I think that's a hallmark of all the Wolf shows. There's plenty of action. There's plenty of story to involve people. But these characters are human, right?
Yeah,
they're not
yeah.
invincible. They're heroic because of their vulnerability in a lot of ways.
Our cop show, it's never about the crime. It's what the copper went through
Right.
to solve that crime or not solve that crime, how
Right.
it affects the character. And I get it. That's the kindergarten stuff. But like, if you watch Fire, it's not about the fire. It's about how it.
Sure.
And with you guys, like the Pits, cool, super cool.
Great. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
we had one of the guys, Sean,
Yeah. Oh, God. How good is he?
dude. So Sean was with us last season, complete gentleman, wonderful,
Yeah, of
and him and
course.
Voight ball busting back and
Yeah,
forth.
yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah.
they had this thing going, like old school charm, and they both have this gravitas. It was like I didn't want to stop watching them.
Well, another one great thing about all the shows, including all the Wolf New York shows, is that they employ a whole spectrum of actors who aren't necessarily really pretty. Okay?
Yeah.
They're realistic people who've led real lives, who just happen to be actors, and so they bring a lot of that personal experience and texture to the roles. So a guy like Sean, who's fantastic on The Pit, I can see would do incredibly well on PD.
Yeah.
And so look, to your point earlier about that particular scene in Chicago Med, a lot of it so much had to do with the young actor playing this kid who's able to relate that story. Amy Acker played the woman who was the mother of the young girl who died in a drowning accident and had the kid's heart transplanted into this young boy. So all we had to do was listen.
But it seems like everything that I was like, let me check out this Weber guy, and everyone was all comedian. He did this. He was funny in Wings. I'll be honest with you, like what you've done on this show, it's when you're serious.
Well, I appreciate it. That's very nice.
Because they
of you to
said,
say.
what was the LSD? The LSD
Oh, that's
one.
right.
Wheels.
That's right. Look at you. You actually watch this.
Yeah, I
That's
watch all of it.
Yeah, so my character is dosed with LSD. He has a sticker put on him by a raver. So I had a chance to at least not be my character's usual uptight self. And the joke was that all I did was just be nice. And people thought that was hilarious. But really, I was just being pleasant. Right?
You're a people pleaser.
It was funny. It was funny. I didn't act like I was tripping. I was just nice.
Yeah.
People thought, that's a riot.
You said something that I thought, the words are a ribbon or something.
Yeah, that I came up with. They're on
That was your
streaming.
line.
Yes. So since my character was tripping, I was using a couple of early experiences I actually had. and they allowed me to improvise this line about how I just said something and then I said, it looked like it's just ribbon coming out of me or something.
The words are a ribbon.
That's right. And they liked it, and sort of obviously it fit the context of the scene, and I knew enough to say it quickly so that it had a chance of making the cut, and it did.
Acting on the line. The
That's
old trick.
right.
I like
Act
that
on the
trick.
line.
So when you came to Med in season 6 when the train was already at full speed ahead. What was that like to hop on?
I mean, it's hard to jump onto a show when it's moving, and the train metaphor is very apt, I think. I've been doing it, like I said, I've been doing it for over 40 years, so I knew what I had to do. I had to basically concentrate, not try to pal around with everybody. Everybody was doing their jobs, and so it wouldn't have been good, I think, for me or the show if I was going to take too much time and draw too much attention from this machine that was already in motion. Again, I liked the character. I had spoken to the writers and the showrunners beforehand, so I knew what I had to do. I knew what was expected of me. And I just more or less did that. And again, decades of experience told me to just hit my mark, learn my lines, be pleasant, show up on time. And that's what I sort of did.
Are you doing it right? Ipatha said something beautiful about Alan McDonald. She said, she's been on 600 episodes
Crazy.
of like Dick Wolf stuff altogether. And out of all that time, nothing against anybody else, but she felt like 2 people have really wrote to her and listened to her voice and knew her voice. And she said that about Alan.
Yeah, that's true. I have to echo that. The thing is that I believe that an actor is a piece of the puzzle. An actor is it's a denigrating, but is a pawn, in the full game. You have to do your part. It's gravy if the writers want to pick your brain or collaborate with you creatively. Again, TV is a machine, and I love being a part of that machine. So there's only so much of that you can do.
Right.
They tell me to stand there. I'm going to stand there unless it's completely ridiculous. It rarely, if ever, is completely ridiculous. But Alan has given us a bit of that luxury. He studied the show and saw the evolution of a lot of these characters, and also like you, I mean, he's watched them, and he enjoys, as I know you do, he enjoys the individual actors in PD and in Fire and Med, and so he's kind of taken advantage of the experiences that a lot of the actors have, and he writes to that to a certain extent. So yeah.
In Chicago PD this year, our theme is roots. So we're getting to see, this guy's cut from this cloth, or this person, why he ticks this way.
Right.
It's kind of neat. And there's things I didn't know.
Right. Well, it's interesting for the audience. The audience is smarter than the industry gives them credit for being. I think if you raise the bar, they're going to come to it. Sure, they'll like all the blood and guts and the lovey-dovey stuff, but if you go deep or if you get intricate, they're right there. So they're entertained by it.
Yeah, I say, like, sometimes I'll throw out some police jargon, like, we're 1076. Does anyone know? I said, listen, bro, at the end of the show, if the guy's looking it up, we're winning.
That's right.
1076, we're en route and they care enough. The show's over and they move on.
Right.
Right. And I'm with you. A lot of times we'll do these deep, deep stories and we try to get in there. And if you're putting a hat on a hat, as they say, you know what I mean? Like, we're doing something wrong. You're right.
Let me ask you a question. And I think maybe we talked about this during the big crazy ass crossover when we were freezing our guts out.
I loved you that day.
Oh my God, what a hilarious day. I had some fun. But you worked with Dennis Farina? Didn't you know him?
I wish I did.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I wish I did.
Because Dennis Farina, to me, epitomizes that kind of actual cop, Chicago cop, who became an actor. And I asked people who worked with him. I think Ipatha worked with him.
Yeah, she did, and she loves him.
Loves him, which was a pleasant surprise because a lot of these guys could turn out to be dicks, and for a variety of reasons, and especially a person coming from the place that you came in, being a cop on the street and and mingling with real people in real dire circumstances. It can break a person, it could fracture a person, it could hurt a person, traumatize them. But apparently, Dennis Farina, for all the tough guys he played, Harvey, I'm going to shove this pencil in your, all that stuff. He was a sweet, pleasant, wonderful guy to work with. And that filled my heart.
Where'd you work with him on?
I did an episode of Crime Story. So he did, okay, so I wasn't in the Chicago
Mine's not
chapter.
exciting, but I'll tell you.
Well, they did one season in Chicago, And then they moved, which they shouldn't have, but they did, to Las Vegas. So I did an episode in Las Vegas where I played, and I was really a young actor. I've seen it on YouTube recently. And I played a young pornographer. And so I basically, I had two small interactions with Farina, who I was terrified of, And
Really?
oh yeah, because I thought he was amazing because I loved Crime Story, and he was a tough cop, man. He was he'd slap you. And in fact, in that one episode, there's another actor, a buddy of mine named Tim Guinea, who played a role, and we were all young method actors, and he was having a scene with Farina, and I think he told Farina, who had to slap him in a scene,
Give me the real
give me the
crack.
real slap. And I think Farina probably said, maybe I'm making it up, "You sure? I'll do it."
Yeah.
He said, "Yeah, come on, I can take it." Well, on camera, he cracks this young actor's face, and you can see his soul leave his body for a second, and he's vibrating like a gong. And he's still carrying on his dialogue. And I think Farina gave him a Chicago cop
Give
slap.
him a nice fresh one.
Holy smokes. And but I had one scene where he roughs me up a little bit, kind of grabs me by the collar and throws me into the other cops. That was the extent of it.
Archer was a bit rough around the edges and still dealing with his past.
Yes.
Can you talk about Dr. Archer's life and career before the ED?
Yeah, sure. He was, as I said earlier, he was a naval surgeon. He saw some action. Not only did he take an injury, but he dealt with a lot of young servicemen and women who lost limbs. He had to do a lot of, triage, a lot of field stuff. Saw a lot of death. He saw a lot of life, and it impacted him. Early on, I based a lot of this character on my dad. My dad, who was fought in the Korean War. I may get emotional, just stop me. You just kick me in the nuts.
No, I
if
love
do.
emotional.
And no, but I really want you to kick me in the nuts anyway. It's another story. And but and he was, while he functioned when he came home from the war, he got married, he was an agent, but he always had this haunted look. His hand shook a little bit. He always was quick to anger. He had some hopes and dreams that were thwarted by his own inability to express himself. And even when I was around, maybe I want to say 16 or so, I floated the idea to him and said, "Hey, Dad, maybe I should join the service." And right away he snapped at me, "No, that's not going to happen." And he never spoke about his past. And I realized at that point that there was going to be something going on. Later on, I did some research and found that he had seen a bunch of action. He died at 62. He had a heart attack, a lot of anxiety. And so I used a lot of him in the character of Archer. This was a guy who had trouble expressing himself, maybe even hated himself, maybe carried resentment. He had thwarted hopes and dreams. And so I brought those aspects to this character. So that was his history. Some of it was supplied for me, the idea that he had PTSD. And the rest I had to bring to the table. So that's really his history.
What branch was your father in?
He was an Army.
He was Army, huh?
Sergeant, yeah.
And you just chose to be Navy, or they just made you Navy?
No, they made him Navy, but all branches have that same aspect. If you've seen action.
Yeah. I love that. He had the ghost in his eyes,
He had that 1,000-yard stare, man. Every time Memorial Day or Veterans Day comes around, I will post on my admittedly very liberal lefty Instagram account.
Yeah, you do.
Take it easy. We're all brothers and sisters. I will show the before and after picture. The before, when he's smiling and young, and he's got his kind of Army cap on, and then his the last picture on his card, his ID card, is when he was
released.
Yeah, released, and it is dark.
Really?
It is dark, man. It's
Lost
literally
his glow
day
in his
and
eyes.
night. Yeah, it's.
Wow.
And he, back in those days, they didn't really talk about that stuff. There's no therapy. There's none of that stuff.
Yeah.
So he just, alcohol and cigarette therapy. And it's not like he was unable to know any joy, but, it had been taken from him. I mean, I have said, I worked with an organization called New Directions for Veterans. and they help veterans with, addiction, homelessness, and education, and employment. And I've worked with them for about 10 years, and that's basically in my dad's honor. And at one point I was talking about him, and I said that he had been gouged. A big piece of him had been gouged out of him in Korea. And so that's how I approached Dean Archer. He's a guy that has been hurt. However, over the course of his development in the last, 4+ seasons, now in season 5, he's found a way to kind of mitigate all those wounds. He's in a great relationship with his fellow doctor, Hannah Asher, played by the wonderful Jessie Schramm. And it's not romantic, but he's found an emotional connection, which is something that I feel that a lot of these men and women lose or maybe never had, especially after they've experienced trauma. It's hard to find a person patient enough to hold your
she
trauma.
loves you. She's your friend.
She's my friend, and again, there's not a romantic thing. Although in this season, she's my baby mama. I'm her baby daddy. And that's been an interesting road to go on too, especially the way it's been written, because in many ways, I hope I'm not blabbing on too much, but in many ways, the audience almost expects us to have a romance, even though there's an age difference and all that garbage, which really bugs me. It's not that big a difference. And I still got a swimmer's build. I still got it.
You got it.
But they're approaching it in a very unique way. This is not classic TV love. There's something else at play, and it's still developing.
Well, the one thing about your father is I just wanted to say before I go there is so he's living in the show through you. You got to honor that.
I do.
And there's things that I do on our show when my father was on the job and lost his life and blah, blah, blah on the job. But he did 22 years, but he had this old school way of doing things.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't take no shit back in the day.
Right.
And I put his spirit kind of in some things, and I feel like I'm fortunate enough to have him live there.
Isn't that a great thing to do?
It is a good thing. And your father's live in this.
And you will put yourself down. I know you will. You don't accept it, but that's kind of the soul of a creative person. Okay, that's the soul of an artist. You're able to take something and kind of put it in a context that other people understand and even enjoy and are moved by it. Your father is still on the job because of you. I'm going to start crying. Your father is now doing something that he never expected to do. How proud he must be of you.
Yeah, it's
hard.
People always say, "Oh, he's living through you." There's a badge holder that my father had for 22 years.
Yeah.
And when he died, I took it off of him,
Mm-hmm.
and I wore it every day since.
There you go.
When I wasn't the police anymore and I was just working on the show, I couldn't carry it anymore, so I didn't have a purpose. So Olinsky, who was on the job, he was the best depiction of my father.
Right.
Old school, undercover, did these things. And I asked him, would you wear this so my father could be part of the show? And Olinsky, he always had like charms in his pockets and stuff. He was just this beautiful soul. And he was like honored. And
man.
He wore it.
Yeah.
And it's like as soft as a baby duck's ass.
Sure,
If you touch this thing. It's over 50 years old.
Yeah.
It just holds the badge.
Yeah.
And I always said when I was on the job, like a few bad things could have happened to me. I could have got whatever. I wasn't supposed to go home a couple times.
Yeah.
Or I could have made a bad decision. I always felt like my father was with me.
Mm.
When Olinsky died on our show, he handed me back the badge, and I was like,
"You're killing me, man.
Oh man, is this it? My dad doesn't be on there." And Jason McGay was standing there, and he said, "Give me that."
Oh, you're killing me, man.
And he's worn it every day since.
All right.
So every day that I see Jason go by or whatever he's doing, my father's on the show.
That's right, man.
And when I read about, I looked more into your father, the Korean War vet, but I couldn't find what branch he was in.
Yeah.
And I thought it was beautiful, and I was like, holy cow, this is a layer nobody knows, you know? And when you're acting so serious and you see this dark side, that's your pops.
Yeah, that's what I try to do.
Dude, that's your pops,
Yeah. And it keeps things alive. It keeps that lineage alive.
Real.
Yeah.
It's just so real. Like nobody could, you can't take that away. This is exactly what I seen in him, and this is what I'm bringing here. And like you said, sometimes you got to stand up for that. You won't say la-di-da, but these are the words that you would say.
Right.
You know, there's
Right.
things, but there's things that inside you your father wouldn't do. I like that. Like, I think those are things to argue about as a character.
And look, again, Alan and the writers before him, the showrunners before him, Andy and Diane, absolutely respected that. You know, and
They were
and,
wonderful. I worked
oh,
with
they're
them all the time.
fantastic. And look, let's praise Dick Wolf. I mean, and one of the reasons why they are so appealing for so long, you know, how long already, decades, is because they have that connection to living people. You know, they're not superheroes. They are vulnerable, actual people that the audience identifies with.
Yeah, you guys have. There's a roof that you go up to when you
That's right,
put
a
your
terrace,
coats on.
that's
What's
right.
that's where like you go get fresh air, right? When it's too much.
You mean the characters?
Yeah, no. In the show, like it's characters.
Oh, in the show,
Yeah.
yeah. That's right. There's a terrace out there. Yeah, that's right.
Which I think is beautiful. So on us, we haven't really did that.
Yeah,
What's sad is we don't really have a front of our police station.
yeah.
I'm trying to advocate for that. We have a picnic table. So when a
Gotcha.
cop like had a hard day, if you see him out there and he's smoking a cigarette or something, you could either go sit and try to help him or
Right.
not. Like, I love that about the terrace. And like you're saying, even the firemen, like they have a place where they
Yeah,
go. Like
yeah.
it's okay to be vulnerable. All
Yeah.
my life, I thought you had to be a tough guy, you know. And now I leak, you know. Like I say, I cry every once in a while, but it's okay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and you see, like what Dick Wolf did with all three shows and being first responders is
Yeah.
just they're regular people.
Yeah.
I thought something was so beautiful about what I was looking into. You have this big rich house,
Well, that I have problems with.
but say that there's only like 3 rooms that you use that I
You know.
thought was neat. You know,
You know, in my mind, this guy lives in an apartment in Chicago. Maybe he's got a terrace. He's a secret smoker. You
I
know,
love
goes out, does that. But you know, nobody smokes on our show. And so when I saw this guy's apartment, this house, this crazy triplex, I thought, this isn't my guy. He doesn't squeeze orange juice and put it in a pitcher. He's got darkness. Maybe maybe he uses 3 rooms. You know,
I
one of
love
which is the
that.
bathroom, and he lives by himself and everything. But they told me, look, it's aspirational and it's fine. And at the end of the day, look, I have to let go the fact that it's television. It's out of my control. People like it. That's fine. You know, it's not documentary realism. We're still telling the story.
I argue with you.
All right, let's not fight.
You're doing 5 years, and for 5
All
years you've been
right.
creating this guy that people are in love
All right.
with, and it's awesome. And it's you could say it's
All
just
right, we'll talk
television.
about this when we get home. Come
All
on,
right,
let's
we're
not
gonna
fight.
argue
Yeah,
later.
let's stop it.
You said in the past that there's a sense of urgency that came with Dean from Fallujah. Am I saying it right?
Fallujah, that's right. Yeah, that's
To
right.
Chicago. Does the sense of urgency cutting through the red tape still show in itself in Dean in this season, or you think you're getting past that?
I mean, less so because the stories have less of that anxious element of emergency. Obviously, there are still stories that come into the hospital, into the ED that require immediate, attention. But as you said, it's more about roots. It's more about the backgrounds of these characters. So the only sense of urgency that I think he feels and some of the other characters feel is that they're beginning to sense their own mortality. And they're faced with mortality every day when they come in, and it forces them to reckon with their own lives and how much time any of us have left.
Yeah, I'm on my back 9.
That's right. That's right.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and I didn't have a good front 9, but this back 9's
You're
been
doing
fabulous.
okay. Well, everything in the front 9 led up to this back 9.
Yeah. Yeah, you learn. You
learn,
wish
you
you
learn.
could go back and change some of it. The wise
or not. You know, really, the wise thing is obviously the people have regrets. I wish I could change some things, but on the other hand, if I did, I might not be sitting here with you.
Isn't that sweet? With
See
your
what I
baby
said?
blue?
See what I think?
You're no stranger to playing intense characters, and actually, you played one of the most iconic Torrance.
Jack
or
Torrance.
Torrance,
Yeah,
Jack Torrance.
sure.
An ABC miniseries version, Stephen King's The Shining.
Right.
You find any similarities between the troubled John Torrance and Dean Archer?
I mean, I could make some jokes and everything, but really the similarities are in that they're both guys who have had to reckon with, I would say, addiction, self-loathing, and for a while I was playing a lot of kind of broken men. After I did Wings, I wanted to do darker characters and kind of expand the palette and the spectrum of characters. And a lot of them ended up being kind of bad guys. And about a few years ago, actually, obviously before this role, I kind of said to the universe, I don't want to play these bad guys anymore. At least let's have a sense of redemption in them. So, if one of the things that Jack Torrance and Dean have in common is they are able to redeem themselves somehow.
Mm. Did you do because you wanted to get away? I mean, Wings was funny. Like
Wings
everybody
was
loves
funny,
Wings.
yeah.
And it was but you have so many more levels.
Well, after a while, if you're playing these guys, I was wondering, am I this guy? Are these roles coming to me because this is who I am? And and I said that aloud to my therapist, who I'd seen a long time, and she said, "Look, you're this isn't who you are, but it'd be interesting for you to kind of put it out there to see what happens. That you don't want to play this kind of guy anymore." And I did, and I started playing better characters, more rounded characters.
What are the most difficult types of scenes for you to do as an actor, or what are your favorite kinds of scenes?
Oh boy, as a Chicago Med, the most difficult scenes to do are intake scenes where you have to rattle off a list of medications, symptoms. Like I said earlier, those are not meant to be said out loud. They're meant to be read through a magnifying glass on a small, label on the side of a bottle. They're ridiculous. They're mostly consonants. You can lose a lot of teeth saying these ridiculous things. Those are hard. They're hard to remember. The thing about, for me, memorizing lines and learning scenes is that what you're saying is connected to some sort of action or some sort of feeling. Here, it's just looking at a list of things. I can't even demonstrate because it won't stay in my head. So those are the hardest scenes to do. The best scenes and the most enjoyable ones are the scenes where we emotionally interact with each other. However, I do love playing scenes with Oliver Platt because the chemistry we have as two kind of elders on the show is that we have a degree of curmudgeonness, and that's not a word.
No, it sounds cool.
That sounds.
I was going to say charming.
Charming curmudgeonliness, and that is really fun to play with him because we're sort of we sort of try to out curmudgeon each other, he's so real that I try to kind of go to his level of reality. And so sometimes we're talking like this and everything that's really fast. It's like a ping pong match. So those are fun to play.
Yeah.
But also, I love playing with all the actors. Epatha, when I have a scene with Epatha, I love that because she's great. She's a legend. And I love her. And she's great to work with.
I watch you guys do the surgery. I had a friend who they picked to do a paramedic coming in.
Yeah.
And he had all these lines to say.
Hard.
It didn't go well.
Hey, man, it's really hard.
It didn't go well. I felt so bad for him. He did like 4 or 5 times. And at the time, we had Mark Tinker, who's a director, who's just a great guy, but his patience is about this much at that time.
Well, like I say, you have a machine.
Yeah.
We got to go. We got to keep going. Got to keep going. Sorry, you can't do it. Then you're
They get the next paramedic.
That's right.
You saved Miss Goodwin's life last season, early this season. I interviewed her, Miss Betha Murkison, and I got her POV. How was it for you to do that scene?
It was great. First of all, I've always loved Epatha since I saw her in this terrifying movie, Jacob's Ladder, where a young Epatha Murkison is sitting on a staircase flirting with a young Tim Robbins. And it's amazing to see her back in the day. This was probably done in the early 80s or, late mid 80s. So when I got the chance to save her life, it was fantastic. First of all, to see her acting up close is a privilege.
This is the crazy lady that stabbed her?
She gets stabbed by, I think, a stalker. And I had to be very heroic. I had to, I don't know how, she ends up killing the stalker. I, roll the stalker's body off her, and I've got to lift her up and carry her into the elevator and then emerge into the emergency room. It was great, again, to be able to play those scenes and the scenes afterwards when she was in recovery. This gorgeous scene where she's telling me how grateful she is. And I'm looking down at her and she's in her hospital bed. And let me tell you, man, when the camera's on her right over my shoulder, looking down at her, and she's talking to me, and her eyes are filling, Let me tell you, when one tear dropped onto her collar in real time, I thought, this is kind of TV film history. Something real and beautiful was happening, and I hope they caught it.
Did they capture it?
Well, I think they had to have captured it. That's another thing. I don't watch a lot of this show because it's too hard for me to watch. Because I hate the way I look as I've aged. You know, I don't want to see that. And B, because as pawns in this big chessboard, uh, the final product goes through a lot of other hands.
Yeah.
They edit it, they add music, different shots, different versions. So I'd rather not be disappointed and leave with the best feeling I have in having performed it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure they kept that scene in. She hits a home run every time she's on screen.
What is it like doing surgery on a screen? Is it hard nailing down the physicality of it?
Well, it turns out that surgery is deceptive. You know, the really intensive surgery is just it's a game of, you know, quarter inches and it's so small and nuanced that there's not a lot to do. Contrasted that with, again, an episode that you referenced where me and Luke had to hammer in these pins into a guy's bones that required real kind of visceral, violent whacking of a hammer. So a lot of it is
So I didn't think that was true.
Oh.
I said, this is bullshit. That why would they? I swear to God, that's where I went. It was like you lost me for a moment, and but then I seen an interview that you said, and that's what you said. It's like,
a lot of surgery is brutal, man.
Brutal.
You know, you don't know because you're knocked out, but they're stretching and pulling and hammering and cutting, and it's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
What's a behind the scene nugget that you could share that fans don't know?
Okay. I don't think she'll mind if I say this, but first of all, Jessie Schramm, who plays Hannah Asher, in such a beautiful, composed, vulnerable, strong way. She plays it so beautiful. She's so grounded. In real life, carries herself like loosely strung together fishing rods. She is like a joyful sprite of a human being who can break into dance, who is laughing all the time, who is beloved and is flitting about here and there like Peter Pan. I mean, she's all over the place and can be that way, much to my frustration sometimes, because I need to really get my guy. I need to be focused right up until they say action, and she slots right into this perfectly composed, concentrated character, and it blows me away. Almost every scene that we play begins with my saying, what just happened? Yeah. And it actually works to focus me more. That's something that you would know. Well, I think a lot of fans would be surprised to know how much fun we have, especially because the show can be quite dark.
You do most of the scenes with her, would you say, or no?
Well,
or recently.
Recently, I do a lot of scenes with her. I've done a lot of scenes with Ipatha and Oliver, and some scenes with Darren and Luke and Sarah. Okay, Sarah Ramos is a wonderful actor. Lennox, and
I can't figure her out.
Well, she's starting to become a fan favorite because they are doing with her what they're doing on PD, which is go to the character's roots. And we're seeing why they are
hooked up with a couple guys.
Well, that's another thing. You know, she's very kind of uptight. You think, oh no, she's a little wild.
That's when I started liking her.
Okay, take it easy. No, she's wild, and it's fascinating. She's become a Cubs fan like crazy.
Oh wow.
Okay, so I went to a game with her. This was during one of the playoffs.
There's a little behind the scenes right there.
Holy smokes, she's become a rabid, screaming, "Hey asshole!" And we were sitting in the stands. I said, "What are you doing? I'm gonna get punched because nobody's gonna touch you." And don't be that guy. She loves baseball. She's become an real addict.
I love that.
Yeah, so there's that.
And people, do you feel like they're loving you guys, you and Hannah together, or no? And I know you guys are just friends right now.
Yeah.
Because I've seen that.
I don't know. I don't pay that much attention to Reddit boards or fan stuff. You know, I mean, I'm curious about it. I think half people half like us, half don't like the idea. You know, get over it.
Okay, Stephen, it's time for a round of rapid fire questions. Ready?
Yeah, ready.
But since it's Chicago Med, we're going to call this segment The Answers Stat.
Clever.
All right?
Yeah, sure.
It's the little things we come up with.
Great.
Stephen,
Yeah.
if you could bring any character on the Wolf Entertainment show,
Sure.
Law and Order, SVU, FBI, or any of the other Chicago shows, and bring them on the Med, who would you choose and why?
I'd bring Herman from Fire, played by Eigenberg, but I would make sure that he was sedated and couldn't talk throughout the entire episode.
Did you have a fun day when we did that crossover?
He's
That's
amazing.
The first day I met you.
Oh, yeah.
You were freezing.
Freezing, brother.
Yeah.
Listen, it's great to wear that fire gear because you don't feel anything. It was great fun. Eigenberg and I go back, and
I love
it was
Eigenberg.
so great to work with that cat.
I have a picture of all you guys sitting on the stairs.
That's a great picture.
That we posted, and I was like, man, this moment of all these worlds and all these cool guys, and nobody knows how down to earth everybody is. You know what I mean? All they're movie stars. And
well, look, you know what they should do?
What was the stupid guy with the red scarf, the chief?
Oh, Dermot, hilarious.
He's out there with this dumb scarf and costume.
So funny. That's right. One time he did a shot, and he was wearing the scarf.
He was still wearing the red thing.
You know what they should do? They should bring all the New York shows, Dick Wolf shows, into Chicago for a second. Bring Law and Order over to our world.
We did one with Mariska.
Yeah.
And I was like,
oh,
you know what I mean? Because you watched her as a kid, you don't even get it.
Legend.
All right, here we go. So we said that one. This is rapid fire, and we're not even doing a rapid fire. Stephen, if God forbid you were rushed into Chicago Med unconscious, pick your Chicago Med dream team to save your life.
Oh my God!
You could even include yourself.
Yeah, I would definitely include Dean, and I would include Lorena Diaz, who plays Doris, right? Who's one of the nurses, and also Marie Treadwell, who plays Trini. I would have just Dean and the nurses. To hell with the rest.
You don't want the other doctor?
Nah, keep them away from me. They're all egomaniacs.
Stephen, if you could trade places with one Chicago Med character for a day, who would that character be and why?
I would definitely trade places with one of the background actors who have to lay in bed all day in a coma. Fantastic gig. Background artists, some of them, they have to walk around. They've got to pretend to be doctors and nurses and all that stuff. But the ones that really choose the short straw in the best way, they get to lay in bed all day. And they get a call like at 5:30 a.m., sleep all day.
Sleep all
day. When there's a break, get a snack, go back to bed.
That's your answer.
Oh,
we got to stick with it.
Fantastic.
Stephen, who's your dream guest star, and what role would you give them? Could be anybody. Anyone in the whole world.
That's fantastic. I think it would be great if Jeff Bridges came on as the dude, okay, and he came into the hospital. Now, he would have to be, he was in Los Angeles, right? And so his character would have
to. With that sweater?
Of course, the sweater. Yeah, that's right. And I would have to take care of him, Big Lebowski.
Oh, man, that's awesome. Well, I can't thank you enough. We won't beat you up anymore. I know you're a busy man. It's Sunday. You got to go do your
I have an important nap to take.
You're our hero. So thank you very much for coming. That's the end of this one. Really appreciate you, brother. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.